Hello. So this panel is going to go into sort of, what is Metis working on, AAVE V3, some updates there. We're going to go into deBridge, talk about bridging, really cross-chain, interchain interoperability, bridging, liquidity swapping, all that exciting stuff. And so yeah, with that, I'm going to give our panelists the opportunity to introduce themselves. I'm Ashton. I'm from ZebuDigital, so Web3 marketing agency, and we also plan events, so mainly in London, but we also do events sort of all around the world. Yeah, it's a growing brand, it's a lot of fun, and so yeah, so I'll be your moderator, and with that, I'll pass it over. We're gonna have Marc introduce himself.
Let's go. Does it work? Can you hear me, guys? No? Oh, this is better. Hello, everyone. My name is Marc Zeller. I'm the head of developer relations at AAVE. Basically, my job is to make yours better by creating synergy with other protocols, because the whole point of decentralized protocol and decentralized finance in general is to create synergy and composability between protocols, and that's what we try to create together.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Caria, Product Development Manager here at Metis. So at Metis, we see that the future of blockchain being multi-chain and accessible for all. Tonight, I'm very excited to be here to share our product vision and learn all the exciting things from AAVE and deBridge.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Smirnov. I'm CEO and co-founder at deBridge. We are building a generic messaging protocol and cross-chain infrastructure for interoperability between different blockchain ecosystems. Excited to be here with you guys.
All right. So I think we just got a bit of an overview from Juan about Metis. So I think we're going to get started just giving sort of an intro to some recent news. AAVE V3 launched. Stanny's sort of been around talking about it. AAVE, the team, has been around talking about it quite a bit. But I think just for the audience, we'll give a little bit of an intro of what is AAVE V3, what does it bring, what sort of updates does it bring to AAVE and the user experience, and some exciting cross-chain developments. So yeah.
There's many stuff on AAVE V3, so I will just give a few
some highlights.
Yeah. And what is interesting about our conversation, so AAVE V3 brings a lot of optimization, especially in terms of efficiency, but also a lot of optimization in terms of the risk management. So you have a new liquidity mode that is called isolation mode that can limit the supply, create supply caps and borrow caps on specific assets. That allows both to reduce the inertia when you are a liquidity protocol, because adding a new asset, you need price feed, you need like risk parameters, all these kind of things. But if you have a limitation of the risk, you can have more expansion on the asset you can onboard on the liquidity protocol while staying risk adverse, while staying focused on the security. And another feature I want to highlight is the portal feature that allows, in the eyes of the user, to basically teleport liquidity across layers. And what it is actually is that some kind of smart contract black magic that allows a whitelisted entity to mint assets directly on several networks. So there's a very deep synergy opportunities with cross-chain protocols such as deBridge, which is a good example. I think we're going to talk about that. That allows more liquidity efficiency for these kind of actors, and for the end user, less friction to move across networks, because there's a lot of new networks. We live in a multi-blockchain world. There's a lot of opportunity to discover across those networks, and we like to play a small part as middleware, as a liquidity protocol, to participate in this multi-blockchain world future.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, AAVE is already an exciting protocol, and just having that added usability and user experience, making it easier to swap from different chains, I think is super exciting. So I think just pass it over to Caria if you want to just maybe highlight what's exciting to you about AAVE V3. What does that bring sort of maybe to Metis, how it might maybe help with the Metis roadmap and help you get to where you guys want to go. And yeah, just what you're excited about.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say when it comes to the crypto transaction, at Metis, we are trying to solve the two biggest problems in zero layer one, which will be the transaction cost and speed. And with our recent launch, which one just kind of mentioned of our the storage layer, the cost has been reduced to a very negligible amount. So honest, personally, right now when I'm doing transaction on Metis, I don't review it at all. I'm just send that and almost arrive instantly. But let's be in between on my own account though. So if you are sending a token to somebody else, please still check. Otherwise, it might become a tragedy.
Just send it.
Be
Just send
careful.
it.
not a great example here. Yeah, but I'm just trying to say that right now the experience is so smooth and it's really enjoyable. So if you haven't tried, really give it a try. And now, let's go back to AAVE, just like Marc just introduced previously, that I believe that AAVE is trying to resolve the biggest problem in DeFi, right? And with your V3, you have achieved so much and improved the capital efficiency and the protocol safety. So I really see that both of us here are trying to solve the most prominent issues in our respective areas. So it's definitely gonna be great for all of us to see that Metis is finally on our V3 market. So all of our users can enjoy the fast and low-cost transactions cross-chain.
And actually, it's quite important, and I want to put an emphasis on this because I completely agree. But user experience need to be better in DeFi in general. And that's one of the points of this multi-blockchain world is that there's several actors out there from the user of AAVE Arc, which can be a multi-billion dollars institution, to someone that is the net worth of $100. And both are equally important, and both should access the decentralized finance service. And having faster, cheaper, easier transaction is a big thing, but it's not the only thing because you also have a local ecosystem and there's things that you can see there. Because if you only focus on one audience, like just, for example, Ethereum mainnet is probably the most secure network, EVM network there's out there, and layer 2 also benefit from the layer 1 security. But if we do financial service only for the rich because you need to spend $50 to do a transaction. Well, traditional finance is already finance for the rich. So what's the added value there in what we build? So it's really important to have these different opportunities.
Do you want to highlight that, Caria, as well? Or you good? Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, it's super important to make it so that really anyone can start to get into DeFi, can start, using crypto, trying out the different chains. I mean, I think it's like in the future, you won't need to really have to go from one app to another app to another app to get your funds from one place to another, be unsure if it's going to go somewhere else in the process, be stopped somehow. Sometimes different chains, just kind of stop working because that's sort of how it goes these days. There's some problems with scaling. And so I think, yeah, just having those different integrations, making it super easy for the user to come, do what they need to do and not worry about the back end, not worry about the safety, not worry about the liquidity just going nowhere, and going to a black hole. But yeah, so I guess with that, I want to start to highlight maybe the importance of bridging from one chain to another. How is that done currently? What are some of the maybe challenges of that? And what does a project like deBridge bring to this cross-chain, multi-chain world that's super important?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to get started from brief description of deBridge and what we are building. So we are building the decentralized infrastructure that enables passing arbitrary messages or data and liquidity in the same transactions. Because right now, the entire crypto space and DeFi space is quite fragmented, right? So we got $195 billion of value distributed across more than 50 public blockchains. And one of the reasons or one of the goals is to achieve high level of capital efficiency because this capital should flow between all these chains, right? And when we have the ecosystem like Metis DAO, we need to have intercommunication layer between the Metis and all other chains, right? For example, when you're building rollup, you can create a bridge between the base layer, between Ethereum, for example, and the rollup, but the entire crypto space is way more than that. We got many more blockchains, we got many more users, and we need to find the way to interconnect them all. And that's one of the goals in deBridge. So we want to like interconnect all blockchain ecosystems to provide freedom to users and protocols to decide like what blockchain or what like ecosystem they want to operate with. And the AAVE V3 is like a really great example because like once we see the protocol, for example, deployed in Metis, we need to provide ability to allow protocols from other chains to interconnect or like to send some transactions to AAVE V3 on Metis, right? And that's what deBridge enables. By providing ability to pass like arbitrary messages and data, we also provide liquidity to create various cross-chain applications and cross-chain primitives on top of deBridge infrastructure. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is the cross-chain compatibility of the smart contracts when, let's say, we have a protocol deployed on Metis like AAVE, but at the same time, protocols from any other blockchain ecosystems can interact with it, can open position, can transfer liquidity, and of course, can utilize this portal feature that AAVE V3 introduced recently. And that's really important, and that's a really cool feature, and I'm quite excited about it, because like all bridges need liquidity, right? That liquidity is needed to like pass, to convert assets, because like all tokens are deployed like in all chains, they all got like different smart contracts, and we need the way to convert assets. And sometimes deep liquidity is needed. And the best thing to like achieve deep liquidity is to get protocol fully compatible with existing DeFi ecosystem. So for example, in deBridge, like from the very beginning, we designed the protocol to be fully compatible with like existing protocols. We never wanted to reinvent the wheel to develop our own AMM or DEX. And that's why, for example, for liquidity, we like never launched our own like liquidity mining campaign, but we expect like that we will send the governance proposal, will get integrated with Portal on AAVE, and we'll source liquidity from the biggest protocols from the DeFi space. And that's like new level of capital efficiency because like all these protocols can become composable with each other, can intercommunicate with each other, and at the same time, like overall interoperability layer delivers very great level of user experience because as a user, when I use deBridge, I can swap like from any arbitrary asset on one chain to any arbitrary asset on another in just one single transaction and with the highest capital efficiency because like the swap itself is routed through existing protocols like, and liquidity can be sourced from like Portal at the same time. And yeah, that's pretty cool. And I can't wait to see like how all these like ecosystems will play out eventually because like all projects and protocols will become cross-chain composable.
And what is important is that it's just the beginning, because what we have right now with the portal feature on V3 is the first steps in that direction. But actually, one of the biggest challenges we have right now in this multi-blockchain world is that I did X on network A, then Y should happen on network B. And it isn't simple when I say it that way, but it's an incredible challenge on the technical side to do that without too much trust and assumption. To do it in a permissionless way, in a decentralized way, it's extremely hard because you cannot really have the right to make mistakes, especially if there's billion involved. And we have a lot to learn from each other. And that's a lot of things like what we have right now, it's the beginning of what can be tomorrow, and we will keep working and focusing on that. And that's quite interesting, quite exciting as well.
Yeah, and I fully agree because like we are still early, right? Especially on the cross-chain space. And we are seeing like more and more ecosystems. We are seeing more and more applications, like more and more capital like coming to the DeFi space. And in my opinion, it's like really great moment to start building for example, cross-chain applications, right? So if you're a developer or builder, just like, right now it's like the chance to get to success is way bigger than it will be in a couple of years from now because like cross-chain space in general is just getting started, right? And like interoperability layer is all about the user experience. And my vision here is like that in near future, end user will not even care like what
the user don't care.
Yeah, what like blockchain the protocol is deployed in. As a user, I just like interact with the mobile app or I interact with the app itself like AAVE. And it doesn't really matter like what chain is deployed in. I just want to like perform some desired action. And we can treat it like a hosting, right? So we got like the classic internet, when we interact with a website, we don't care like where it's hosted. The same way it will work for the internet of blockchain. We'll just like, as a user, we'll interact with wallets and apps, and all the routings, all the bridging will be performed like automatically under the hood. That's like how TCP/IP works for the classic internet. The same way interoperability will work for like internet of blockchain.
Yeah, I think some of these apps that are able to really hide that, behind the scenes, what's really happening, what blockchain am I using? I think that's really important just to notice. Like, people don't really need to research, what is this blockchain? Should I use it? Is it safe? Is it decentralized? Like, they shouldn't need to care about that, right?
Great engineering is invisible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd love to pass it over to Caria and maybe just get your thoughts on sort of where do you see maybe some challenges in cross-chain liquidity and cross-chain, really just transfer of data, cross-chain applications. What do you think is some of the biggest challenges there, and what do you think Metis is doing to help with that cross-chain environment?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to cross-chain bridges, there are definitely many different kind of bridges. Like there are some protocol-based, some are liquidity-based, some are maybe like few access to multiple chains or like multiple access to multiple chains and so on and so forth. And then some are trusted, some are centralized. So it's the reason that right now there are so many bridges is because, like both of them said, right now we are in a very new beginning of the era, and all the bridges have their own pros and cons. And I'm personally really looking forward to more technology improvement and enhancement in the future for all these. And I think that's why I actually want to talk a little bit about our recent launch for the NFT bridge that allow all users right now to be able to bridge their NFT tokens in between of Ethereum layer 1 and layer 2. Why this is important? Because that means that right now you will be able to list or do any transaction of your NFT tokens with extremely low cost. And once you are done, you can always bridge it back to layer 1. And it's a very great user experience. That's something that I believe everybody wants to see.
So could it be that, let's say an NFT platform launches, maybe on a layer 2, can it then be bridged to a layer 1 easily, costlessly, smaller transaction-wise? And then are there marketplaces that are going to be integrating that, you think?
So we are definitely looking for working on that privately, and we are also talking to some very exciting projects as well.
Nice, exciting. Okay, almost got some alpha there.
Almost an alpha leak.
Nice. Yeah, I think I want to go into. I think recently Vitalik Buterin actually pointed out that with 51% attacks, with all this assets moving from one chain to another, there's a lot of possibility for somewhere in the process from one chain or on another chain of this possibility for a hack or some loss of this liquidity. What are some of the challenges with that? What do you think is going to be able to fix that, and where is the security at with bridges at the moment, and where do we need to go from here? I guess maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I can take this one since I'm like bridge designer, and deBridge from the very beginning was designed like with the main focus on security, right? And after the Vitalik's post, I like posted the whole thread on Twitter just to say that like I'm not fully agree with what Vitalik said, because like all these challenges can be overcame, right? So it's all the matter of the design of the bridge itself. And of course, like building bridges is very complicated. And rule number 1, never build your own bridge. So
that's what we do at AAVE for
Yeah, I mean, like you've seen, for example, the Ronin case, right? When they like tried to build their own bridge, but like it's just better like to utilize existing technologies, because like building bridges is very complicated, and there are a few things, because like bridge is a middleware, right? So more or less you have to rely on the security model of the underlying blockchain. And when you design bridge, it's very important to have the isolated security models so that the potential vulnerability in one blockchain ecosystem will not anyhow influence all others. And in deBridge design, we've taken quite a unique approach on how to tackle all these problems. So for example, our validators always cross-validate the consistency or balance sheet of the protocol state. And let's say if you're deposited 10,000 ETH from one chain to another, there is no way you can withdraw 80,000 ETH, right? So there should be basic balance sheet validations. And I'm really surprised when I see multi-billion-dollar bridges who don't have these very basic security checks. And the recent hack of some of the bridging protocols in Fabric show that it's very important to design bridges in a truly secure way and have all validations in place and consistently cross-validate the consistency of the protocol state. Getting back to the question about the 51% attack, there is actually the way to overcome this as well, because when we utilize Ethereum, when we interact with Ethereum, we also bear the risk of 51% attack, right? It's not only about on-chain logic. There is the whole bunch of applications built on top of Ethereum, such as exchanges, OTC services, different financial services, etc. And they also bear the risk of 51% attack, of course. And that's what Ethereum ecosystem should care about. It's not the problem of bridges at all. It's problem of the whole blockchain design. And as a bridge designer, we can limitate this risk of 51% attack. And just to be a bit technical here, to provide some insights, so in deBridge we have this special security check because all transactions are numerated, all transactions that pass through the smart contracts. And if there is any 51% attack, then there will be a duplicates in numbers in this non-sequence. And validators can immediately detect the problem with the underlying blockchain and stop validating transaction for this chain. And that's how we minimize potential attack surface. And moreover, since we got compatible with the existing DeFi ecosystem, for example, we utilize liquidity pools at stable swap protocols, we limit the potential risk or potential damage only within liquidity providers within one specific ecosystem. So it's very important to make the security model isolated so that if there is a problem in one chain, it will not influence liquidity providers or users in all other blockchains connected to the bridging protocol. And most of the existing bridging protocols have joint security model and that's quite dangerous, I would say. And that's what we are we cared about from the very beginning by during the deBridge design.
It's important to point out there's no shortcut because people sometimes tend to believe, yeah, let's do some centralization and a few validator node multisig and it's just going to work and it's going to work from there. And what we learned from running is that it's probably not a good idea to be too centralized because you're centralizing the point of failure as well. So yeah, it's incredibly difficult on the technical side to be decentralized, but it's worth it as well in terms of security.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. Yeah. No, I think, yeah, from the technicals, getting into it, I think it sounds like you guys are doing great work to keep funds SAFU, as they say, which is quite important. Yeah, I think with that, we'll into more transition maybe into a talk about cross-chain governance and cross-chain messaging. I know AAVE recently did their first sort of cross-chain votes from one chain to another. I think it was back in February. So yeah, we'd just love to hear more about what are some of your thoughts on cross-chain governance and how do you make it so one chain can impact another in a way that they can all sort of flow and talk to one another and do work together.
Well, the first thing I want to say about that is that one of the main creators of the cross-chain governance bridge is here. It's Ernesto.
Hi, Ernesto.
And thanks to AAVE, it's a lot of very great engineers, and everybody that contributes should be highlighted. Cross-chain governance is extremely important in the sense that if you want to do a decentralized protocol, you need to have some kind of governance. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. If I have a button somewhere and say, okay, let's deploy on AAVE on this network, or let's list this asset on AAVE overnight, and I click that button and it happens, we are not part of DeFi. Obviously, that doesn't exist. The only way to be really decentralized is to have a community in control. And the community discuss. Sometimes there's a bit opposing position, but it's really important that the user of AAVE and the AAVE community are really in control of these things. But technically, the governance has to exist somewhere on a network. And for legacy reasons, because AAVE was born and raised on the Ethereum network, the center of gravity of that governance is on Ethereum mainnet. But AAVE is currently on 7 different networks, maybe other ones in the future. And how do we make sure that every AAVE asset that holds that governance power are made equal? Like, is it normal that if I have some AAVE on other chains, I have less governance power than if I have AAVE on Ethereum mainnet? And that's the case sometimes, and there's mitigating solutions that have been put in place, especially Snapshot. So on Snapshot, if you have AAVE on Polygon, you can vote on AAVE decision. If you have AAVE on Phantom, it's the same thing, and so on and so forth. And another thing is that what is making AAVE really decentralized is that no one press a button somewhere to enforce the governance decision. It's not just a pooling saying, hey, do you want to have AAVE on Metis? Everybody say yes. Okay, so someone press a button and deploy it. You can have AIP, AAVE Improvement Proposal, which is a sort of smart contract that will directly enforce the vote decision and modify directly itself the smart contract to enforce those modifications. And that worked great on mainnet, but how do you do that if your AIP content concerns something that happened on another network? If your center of gravity is on mainnet, you will need to enforce that on other networks. And that's the point of cross-chain governance bridge. So right now, it's mostly working between AAVE and Polygon for technical reasons. But the ambition is to spread that governance power across other networks and also have governance power from other networks. Because if you need $30 to vote, because that's the transaction fee of Ethereum mainnet, that's not very fair for people that has very small amount of governance token, and maybe $30 is a lot for them, so it forced them into governance apathy because it's a huge budget for them. So all these solutions are really important because it's alongside this whole process of being as decentralized as a protocol can be. And as we said, decentralization is not just an ethos. It's also important for security. It's also important for the vision that we share together and what we want to build. The alternative we want to build is based on decentralization, and all these things contribute to that.
Nice, yeah. Caria, do you have some thoughts to add too?
Yeah, so I would say that to me, cross-chain governance is definitely difficult to achieve, yet extremely important because it's there to help facilitate different stakeholders to make decisions when there comes any changes or update to chains or different projects cross-chain. So that's why right now at Metis, we are actually working on this Metis reputation power system. They will allow everyone to get an understanding of how trustworthy each individual is. And if anybody wants to participate in any voting, this person's voting power will be based on their contribution to our Metis ecosystem. And that's definitely something that's very exciting.
Nice, yeah, that does sound pretty sweet. Cool. Yeah, so I guess with that, yeah, we'd just love to maybe go into, do you have any maybe apps or protocols or things that are already creating really good cross-chain things where you can go into it? It's easy to use different blockchains in the background. And is there anything that's working on that, or anything really exciting that you guys think is really worth looking at?
Yeah, of course. Like cross-chain governance is actually one of the the potential applications, right? And just to add a few words on that side. Right now, we got like many protocols deployed in Ethereum, right? And of course, on Ethereum, it's very difficult to implement on-chain governance, since like gas price is so high, like every transaction costs like $30 or sometimes even more. That's why many protocols are performing like signaling votings, right? When you use the tooling like Snapshot, you just like sign the message, and the protocol itself can be controlled by multisig with some reputable signatories that execute governance decisions based on the signaling voting. But the true governance is when you have everything on-chain, when all transactions can be sent like to the smart contract, and the result of the voting is settled like in the protocol itself. And that's why Metis is like solving this problem, right? So instead of doing like governance on Ethereum, you can vote, for example, on cheaper blockchains such as Metis or some others simultaneously, and then at a certain point, the result of the voting is sent as a message to the smart contract in the chain where it should be executed, and based on the like total voting results, like the decision is fully on-chain executed in the protocol itself. And that's really cool because like at the same time, like there is no risk of any like signaling tools like Snapshot, and you just like create everything on-chain where like all the governance voting processes can be fully like auditable or like can be audited. And in addition to cross-chain governance, there are many more applications that can be done. So of course, like cross-chain swaps is one of the basic ones and one of the most needed ones. But in addition to that, one of the apps that would be really cool to have is the NFT bridging, right? Because like I'm quite interested in like how NFT space is evolving, because in my I think like that NFT will be the biggest onboarding funnel for the next 1 billion users in DeFi, because like many artists or many like end users, they don't know anything about DeFi because that thing is like quite complicated. But they already like interact with some gaming projects. They already like wear NFT sneakers to get some crypto coins, and yeah. So NFT bridging is one of the great use cases for like cross-chain interoperability. When you have, let's say, NFT in one game or in one metaverse, you can bridge it to another blockchain ecosystem, and you can use your NFT as a game asset in, let's say, Axie Infinity, or like the other way around. You can like bring your Axies to another chain and use it in like Star Atlas metaverse. And in addition to like gamify use cases, there is a big potential for like financial NFTs as well, when you can like bridge your NFT to another protocol, let's say in Polygon, and supply it as a collateral to AAVE and draw credit using this collateral. So yeah, there are many more use cases that can be accomplished here.
So soon I bring my AAVE to Metis. That's going to be cool.
We hope so, yeah.
When AAVE on Metis.
Thanks to deBridge.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait like when we will get integrated with Metis, and like as an alpha league, we already like work toward this process. And yeah, I think like deBridge will, I hope at least that deBridge will become one of the like most important bridges in the Metis ecosystem, because like in addition to like default intercommunication channel between Ethereum and Metis, deBridge interconnects all supported chains, right? And one of the great use cases would be to make protocols, for example, in Solana, like in non-EVM ecosystem, to be compatible or like composable with the protocols in Metis. And another use case here is like the user behavior or like user habitats, because I can be a user on Solana, right? And I'm used to use the Phantom wallet, and I still want to interact with some protocols and application on Metis. And through deBridge, I can send my transaction to deBridge smart contract on Solana, and deBridge infrastructure will execute this transaction on behalf of the user on Metis. And that's the new level of like cross-chain compatibility, when all users are interconnected with all protocols. And we will not need to differentiate protocols from user bases of different ecosystems anymore, since everyone is getting like interconnected. Anyone got a freedom to interact with any arbitrary protocols in any arbitrary blockchain ecosystems.
Yeah, everyone should come together to work together towards adoption. I think that's extremely important. Do you have any timelines on a potential integration with Metis? Is that in the works?
Yeah, I mean, like integrating new chain takes like there are a few components involved here. So first of all, we need to deploy smart contracts in every blockchain that we support, because the deBridge protocol is like represented by two layers. There is a protocol layer, which is like a set of smart contracts that we deploy, and there is an infrastructure layer. So basically, we got validators, set of validators who are elected by like deBridge governance. And all validators run the full node of every supported blockchain. So basically, all our 12 validators will need to like set up the Metis full node like to have the reliable source of data, right? And once we have everything in place, we will be able to send like messages and send arbitrary tokens between chains. But at the same time, we would like to have some kind of periphery we can integrate with. For example, to achieve the cross-chain swaps between arbitrary assets, we need a stable swap protocol, right? Because like stable swap, AMM is like one of the most efficient ones. And we need some routing protocol, such as 1inch, right? To route liquidity in the most efficient way. And yeah,
and
integrating
liquidity.
And liquidity, yeah, like Portal. And I can't wait to see like when deBridge will get whitelisted on the AAVE portal, because like
as I said, there's no button somewhere. That's the whole thing of decentralized finance. There's no button somewhere I can press. We want to see your governance thread on the governance forum.
Yeah, and that's how it should work, actually. Yeah, there is no like any. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like technology agnostic approach when you can get integrated with any project. You know, like even though like you can give some preferences to friends and like some other protocols, you still need to be agnostic to provide the same terms for everyone, so that any bridges can integrate with protocols, so that any chains can be integrated with deBridge. And that's how we like push the ecosystem forward all together. It's like the joint effort, because like we are still early and we need to work on the same goals and same milestones.
Yeah, well, best of luck. It's a really important thing to figure out for the space, to make it really open and free and usable for everyone. I think that's really what we struggle with at the moment, you know, not having everyone be able to get into the crypto ecosystem, because it's so confusing and hard to get into and takes a certain amount of money and funds and understanding and complexity. So yeah, that's also why NFTs are helping a lot of people on board, because it is quite easy to start buying some of these NFTs and start using a blockchain without even understanding what's going on behind the scenes. So yeah, it's super important. I guess maybe just wrap up with a few thoughts, and then we can bring it over to the audience for a few Q&A questions. So if you have any closing thoughts before we hand it over.
That's great. Actually, I want to do some more introduction for our products, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We're all here for Metis. I mean, we're all here at the Metis Fest. Let's hear about it, yeah.
Yeah,
we'd
I
love
have
to.
some very exciting things we are in the pipeline right now. So for example, like if everybody knows that we launched our Polis late last year. So Poly is a multi-chain middleware platform that allows the Web2 developers to launch their apps without knowing much of the blockchain knowledge through REST API. And Polis can actually act as a wallet as well on Metis. And the great thing is that we are going to support mobile soon, which means that you'll be able to do the transactions on the go. Like we know we are all travelers here, we travel a lot. That's a very important feature. And we are also working on Portal V2. So if you ever participate in Portal V1 back in last year, you will have the chance to like create DSCs, join DSCs, or staking, mining, these kind of things. But even better things are coming very soon, that we are going to build our Portal V2 on the Polis. And you will be able to create the DSCs and select the templates that best suits your use case. And then you will be able to access our Metis app stores to select the apps that was the best for you. And it will start with supporting Metis Andromeda, but eventually our grand goal is to allow all DSCs to be able to have their own chain, and different projects can coordinate and communicate cross-chain. So that's definitely something very exciting, and hope everybody can expect that coming up very soon in late Q2.
Exciting. Yeah, thanks for the update. Very cool. Yeah, I guess any other thoughts, Alex or Marc, before we hand it over to Q&A?
I don't know. I'm just like super excited to be here in Amsterdam, you know, with all you guys. And I think that, like the future is definitely multi-chain. If you like talk about all these blockchain ecosystems and like all the projects and protocols that are deploying in this newly created DeFi space. And yeah, our goal here is just like to build toward the multi-chain future, to build toward the capital-efficient future, to create the protocols, because like what we are doing, we create like the new financial system basically. And the main goal here is to provide the financial freedom for the end user so that they always control their own data, like in Lens protocol, so that they always can control their own funds on chain, where like there's no any centralized parties involved, when nobody can like block your account or censorship your actions, and that's very important. That's why I'm really excited to be like a builder in Web3.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if there's any questions from the audience. I don't know if we can open it up a little bit. I don't know if we have a mic we can give out, but maybe just stand up and yell it out for us. Hello.
Thanks for the panel. Question to Alex. There seems to be a big flag.
Maybe just sum up this question real quick so everyone can hear.
Yeah, so the question was like, what are the difference? Like there is a competition between bridges, and like there is a traditional approach and there is a chain agnostic approach, and like what the difference and who will like beat the market. Yeah, to answer that, I'm not fully sure like what is assumed under the traditional approach. I guess that's like the default bridges probably between like Ethereum and rollups. But in general, like the whole cross-chain interoperability space can be divided, and projects represented in this space can be divided into two groups. So for example, projects who are purely focused on the value or like asset transfers, such as Hawk Protocol, Connex, Symbiosis. And the second bucket of projects is represented by those who are focused like on the data transfers or like message transfers. And those are projects like deBridge, Layer 0, Wormhole, and Zeller. And I'm more fan of the data transfer approach, because like when you try to create your own AMM or DEX, you'll not be able to make it in the capital efficient way because you are not able to source existing on-chain liquidity. But when you enable the data transfer or message transfers between protocols, you can like source existing on-chain liquidity from protocols like Curve, Uniswap, and all others, and you can use like routing algorithm like 1inch to achieve the best routing during the swap. That's why I think that like the messaging or like generic messaging protocols will be market leaders, of course. But the overall competition, like within this specific bucket, really depends on the security and user experience and decentralization, right? So these are three main pillars, and security is like the most important one, because like interoperability layer is very important, but it should be like super secure, because like at some point the interoperability protocol will like hold $1 billion of value, and it's very important to have security as the main pillar of the protocol design.
Nice, yeah. Thanks for answering that. One more?
You launched a bug bounty in January with, I think, Immunify. What is your plan for the future in security? Have you thought about Byzantine protocols and MPC or different layers that you want to bring to deBridge for security in general?
You mean how will we expand the bounty program?
Or layers of security for data transfer that are less interceptable?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the overall security approach for like during the design of the bridging protocol can be also divided into two directions, right? So the first one would be like set of security measures that laid into the protocol design itself. And that's like balance sheet validations, like non-sequence validations, like isolated security models for every blockchain.
So zero trust thinking format? Or?
Yeah. And at the same time, like you need to pay a lot of attention for the security audits, like for the overall, pay attention to the overall development approach. So there should be like many independent code reviews. There should be like security audits by professional security audit companies. And in deBridge, we got like 4 security audits. At the same time, we got like a unified bug bounty program, which we launched in January, even before we launched the mainnet. So we just wanted to provide some time to white hat community to try to execute bounty before there is any real liquidity in the protocol. And like any single line of code that we produce, not only on the smart contract level, but also in UI and like in deBridge node, we get that audited. And we, for example, got like long-term partnership agreement with like Halborn as one of the security partners. And yeah, like we audit like basically everything in addition to different like independent code reviews and like the bug bounty program, which is live, and it will be expanded to all the blockchain that we support automatically.
And are you scared of the Uniswap and certain exploit? Do you have a team that looks a little bit into defense in general for exploit, or you just create bug bounties in general? What is your more reactive security if you want to make sure you don't have any exploit, a part of bug bounty?
A part of bug bounty, we got different security monitorings in place, right? So we continuously check that all wrapped assets issued by the protocol are always like one by one backed by the collateral and the native chain. And if there is any deviation between like total supply of the wrapped asset and the collateral, validators will immediately stop the protocol. And yeah, that's like one of the additional security measures that laid into the protocol design itself, if that was your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for our panelists. This is a great session. And yeah, make sure to ask some more questions after the session. And we'll also have a few more talks after this. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you.